Okay, so what I'm going to talk to you today about is ceramic coating your car and prepping for that, because the key to ceramic coat is prep. All right, the prep is really the difficult portion of the whole process, because actually applying the ceramic coating is not a big deal. Um, but prepping is, because whatever you prep, whatever the car looks like just before you ceramic coat, is exactly what it's going to lock in. So you'll want to make sure you've cleaned the car, that you have done any compounding and micro polishing you need to do to take out any, sorry about the shaking, any micro scratches or swirls or anything. Now, the products I use, and this is kind of important, is for compounding to get micro scratches and things like that, I use clear cut. And the reason I use clear cut is because it's almost dust free. It can be used for heavy or medium cut depending on the pads you use, and it's very, very effective. I found it more effective for me than what I formerly used, the 3M 123. And now I'm not knocking 3M 123. I really liked it. I've used it on different vehicles. But what I found was that, especially on step 2, very dusty, very hard to remove, and really didn't lend itself to what my ultimate goal is, which is ceramic coating. Then on a lighter pad, you'll want to use essence. And what does essence really do? Essence is used to refine, glossify, etc. And in some ways, it's a filler for any micro scratches with a ceramic base. So when you actually apply this like a polish, very light, and work it in, you don't necessarily have to remove it. You don't want any excess, but you don't necessarily have to remove it to ceramic coat over it. I myself remove part of it, and I'll explain that when we get to that part. The other part is, what do you polish with? Okay, so for example, for large areas and for a little more cutting, I'll use a yellow pad and the 5-inch kind of size on my polisher. But because there's a lot of detail work, and you want to be really careful with what you do, you want to use the smaller 3-inch pads. Now this 3-inch pad just happens to have a black a polishing pad on it, which is really not a cutting pad. Used it for the essence, etc., to get to the fine shine that you see here. No swirls, no micros. You know, you can see on the roof and on the door, etc. It looks really great. It's an amazing thing. And the thing is, now that is a perfect surface preparation to do your ceramic coat, because that's what's going to get locked in. This shine, this gloss is what it's going to look like, not only after I ceramic coat it, but every time you wash it. Every time you wash it, that ceramic coat is going to look like this. So yeah, that's about the prep. And there's plenty of videos on there on how to apply the ceramic coat. I don't really need to go into that. I'll show you the final result when I'm done. But basically what you'll do is you'll work in sections. You'll take a section, about, let's say, that size, and work it in a grid pattern, and give it a minute and wipe it down, and then move on to the next section in a grid pattern, and maybe just do the top of the fender as one section, this top of the fender, then maybe there and there, until you get the whole car done. Once the whole car is done, you'll wait 24 hours. Within a certain amount of time, or after the 24 hours, you can apply a top coat to that, either another, well, within 4 hours, I believe you can do another coat of ceramic coat if you really want. You don't really need to. But what you can do after 24 hours is use their product called Reload. And that's like a ceramic coat light. Let me get over here to here's the product, Reload. And you spray it on an applicator, and you rub it on in that same grid pattern, and then just wipe it off. Think of it as a topical wax. And what that does is it becomes the sacrificial layer, lasts about 3 to 6 months. protecting actually your ceramic coat. So you can really extend the life of your ceramic coating using this. And you would want to use that maybe every third or fourth wash, or if you're going to go to the show, to give it that extra gloss. But as you can see, it's pretty darn glossy. I have another car that's actually been ceramic coated. This is not freshly ceramic coated. Actually, the ceramic coat on this is maybe 6 months old. And it's just been recently washed, and you can see, you know, the shine on this. And this is just from a wash. There's no wax, no reload, nothing on this car but the fact that it's been ceramic coated. And you can see the shine on this. And let's get over to the side. You know, you can see the reflections, and I don't know, maybe it's not the right light for, oh, there you go. And white, to make white really glossy is not the easiest in the world, but yet, you know, you can see, look at the reflection of the lights. It's very glossy. So that's it. I hope this helps folks in convincing them that ceramic coat is the way to go. You don't have to do the constant waxing, and it's protectant for your car. I mean, you know, it's not scratch proof, it's not chip proof, but I would call it scratch resistant and and chip resistant. So there you go. Okay, I've done half the hood from the center stripe over to the edge, not on the fender yet. And I figure I'll give you a view of how you actually do this. So as I mentioned before, you want to do this in small sections. I left the jar over here. And there's your applicator. You put a few drops on the applicator, and we're going to do a section. Let's do this with, so I'm going to do half the top of the fender. Okay, and what you want to do is cross hatch, okay, in one direction, and then cross hatch in the opposite direction. Okay, just this small area. You're spreading it almost like you're spreading oil. That's the only thing I can compare it to. Sorry, this is really hard to do with one hand, but you see. Okay, so I've cross-hatched this. And now, what you do is you give it 1 to 2 minutes to dry. And they give you a little guide that shows you, like this rainbow effect. And I've found it very hard to see the rainbow effect. You can see I've done half the hood here. And of course it doesn't look much different than the other side, because the other side is perfect and all you're really doing is sealing in that perfection. But we'll give this a minute, and then I'm going to show you it's very important how you wipe this off. When you're wiping it down, you're not rubbing it in like you're rubbing in a wax. What you're doing is you're letting it adhere to the clear coat, but what you're wiping and smoothing down is really the transfer agent. Okay, you're getting that off, but at the same time you're smoothing the ceramic coat so that there's no high spots or anything. And you want to use good microfiber cloths, the soft kind, not the real hard cheapy Amazon ones, but the like Chemical Guys or Griots or whatever. And you want to keep using new sections, new towels. So we're going to wipe this down, and I'm not putting really any pressure on this. Back up a little bit. I'm just kind of smoothing as if you were lubing this up. Okay, and you want to overlap where, in case you went over, because when that stuff hardens, then you won't have like blemishes or something like that. So you see, I've turned the towel, I've gotten that done, and it looks awesome. There's no high spots or dull spots. You want to keep good lighting. And now I'll move on to the next section and do it. Then I'll do the other side of the hood, and then do the roof, then start on the lower part, fenders and doors, etc. But it really comes out beautiful. And then when you're all done, you let it sit for 24 hours because you do not want it in the rain or any kind of moisture. 48 would be even better, and then that thing is bonded. Okay. And there you have it. Maybe you'll say, well, I don't see a difference. Maybe not, but that gloss is now locked in. That will always look like that. You wash it, dry it, and come out like that because it's ceramic coated. So now the car has to sit for 24 or 48 hours, and she will be ready. Hope this helped.